Well, hello there, and welcome to this edition of BEP Talks, where people from all around the world, from all industries and professions, all ages and stages of life come to us, to you, to share their beliefs, experiences, and passions. You know, everybody has a story. They're all worth sharing, and this is the wonderful stage on which to share them. BEP is going to make you, like we're going to do today for today's guest, make you easier to remember and impossible to forget. Today's no exception. Our guest today is Rosemary Bova, who is the founder of Bova Enterprises, Inc., and we can talk to her about that. What we're going to talk more particularly about today, Rosemary is a new author, and her new book is called The Four Vectors. And I am very curious as to what all of that means. So please welcome to the BEP stage today, Rosemary Bova.
Hi there.
Hi there. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good, good.
And
And
I'm
I do
happy
want
to
to,
be here.
my pleasure to have you here. And I want to mention New Yorker to New Yorker. I'm a Long Islander now in Florida, but you are a Brooklyn girl. Have you lived in Brooklyn your whole life?
No, I grew up in the house I'm living in,
Oh,
but I lived most of my life in Manhattan, and I moved back to Brooklyn. My mother needed some help, and I moved back here about 10 years ago.
lovely story. I've heard many people in Brooklyn, from Brooklyn, back in the house in which they grew up. And I think that is just such a charming, charming story. So thanks for joining us today. As I said, you are the founder of Bova Enterprises. Just briefly tell us what that's all about.
Well, I call it B, and it follows my passion, which is to have everyone be in their full authority
Oh,
in
that's
who they
good.
want to be.
So
So
B, E,
that's the
B,
short answer
that's a
of
good answer. B, B.
yes.
Right. It's a short word, but it has a huge meaning behind it.
Yes, it does.
Just
Hmm.
be and allow other people to
To
be.
be. Yes.
A lot of tolerance in that, which we could use a little more of that in these days, couldn't we? So I mentioned that today you're going to talk more particularly about your new book.
Hmm.
Congratulations, called
Thank you.
My pleasure, The Four Vectors. Talk to us.
So the four vectors transform the way you manage for greater productivity and profit. Is my bringing together of the years of work that I've consulted to different kinds of organizations, but it brings together the organization architecture and as well as the behavioral work that needs to be done by chief executives or members of their leadership teams. So I work primarily with the top of the organization. And what I have done is I think is a paradigm shift that allows people to enter these four vectors. Vectors are energy fields,
Okay.
and so they you can enter anywhere you want in one of the four vectors, but you need to travel all four.
Oh,
So you can travel, you can
that's
go
very, it
ahead.
sounds like a great video game.
Excuse me?
It sounds like a great video game.
Well, that's something, yes. Okay. Thank you for that.
Mind and remember where the idea came from because I do accept royalties.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I demand royalties. So tell
That
me,
go ahead.
what are the four vectors?
So the four vectors, the first vector happens to be the distinctions between accountable managerial leadership, leadership, and supervision. And you'd be surprised at how many people do not know what those distinctions are. It's just it's just boggles my mind.
Mm,
So
yeah.
so my passion is to transform the world of work so that everybody is who is employed is respected, has integrity. There are all kinds of different aspects of work, some basic, some
Mhm.
much more complex, but every level has to be respected and appreciated and valued. The second vector is a formula, um, which is given to it's how to task an employee. And it talks about the period where you want the task ended needs to have a quality, a quantity, a time, and resources allocated to it. My take on that is that I also want to give that not only to the manager who is tasking the employee, but also to the employee, so that if the employee doesn't understand, they can question the manager. So creating greater communication between manager and employee. The third vector has to do with knowing yourself, knowing what triggers you. And there are lots of different kinds of uh, instruments or vehicles that you can use to find out about yourself. I personally use the DISC instrument,
Okay.
DISC, and but there are many. So I really don't care how you learn about yourself. If you want to learn from me, you'll use DISC. But that gives you information about your own um, behavioral style and how that comes across in an organization. And the fourth one, which I think is really critical, has to do with rejuvenation. It's you have to have something during a week that is for you, that feeds your soul, whether it's walking in nature, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's reading a book, whether it's knitting. There has to be something that is for you
Yeah.
that makes you calm and relaxed. It's a
Sure.
stress reductor. So it's very, very important because when an executive makes a decision under duress, when they're at the top of their organization,
Mhm.
that decision is not really going to be a good decision. And it could take years, 10, 20 years before that decision comes back to haunt them. But the executive who made the decision is not going to be in that role anymore.
Right, right.
So
Or not, yeah.
it's really it's a complicated situation. But I believe that the more relaxed a person is when they can, make a decision, that those decisions will be more grounded. They'll be more appropriate for their organization.
Yeah, because when you're talking about the top, I'm thinking of like the flow chart. When the executive, the CEO, the CFO, the COO,
Right.
top management team, when they make a decision, it affects everybody. I mean, there's that trickle down
Of
effect.
course.
And
Yes.
who typically gets held accountable for it is not the person necessarily who made the decision, but the people that it affected and where they came up short. Because, as you said, I like when you said that in the second vector, um, where they could question the manager if they don't understand the task. The
Yes.
first thing that came to my mind is, well, then who is that manager? Does that person deserve to be the manager? Is that person qualified to be the manager if they can't give proper instruction so that it's able to be understood?
Well, that's a curious point. I don't go there because there are a lot of people that are in positions that they should not be in.
Well, we call that the Peter Principle, don't we call that the Peter Principle? Everybody rises to their level of incompetency.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah. No, that's very true. I mean, remember studying that way back in undergrad school, actually, about the Peter Principle, and
yes,
I've experienced that. I took $1 million. I was doing consulting work for a company, and they said, "We need more money. We need more money. We need more money." And everybody thinks of revenue, and I
yes.
also think of expenses because that's the other half of the
That's
equation.
correct.
So I sat down with someone that I had learn to like a little bit and trust that his asset was that he knew everybody in the company. And I sat down with him and who's this? What's that job? There were no job descriptions, so how could you hold
Right.
anybody accountable to their job if there
That's
were
right.
no job description? And I will tell you that in 2 days, less actually than 2 days, because there were a lot of interruptions, the CFO came to me and said, how did you do? I said, well, I just got you $1 million. And he was like, what?
What?
What did you sell? I said, I didn't sell a thing. I just took $1 million off the payroll
That's right.
because of the Peter Principle. Nobody knew who these people were. Some of them we
Right.
didn't even know where they were. It
That's
was a
right.
it was a multi-location business.
That's
So who
right.
was tracking anybody? So in 2 days, was there a sale made? No. Did it increase profits?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I usually, when I'm doing a consulting project or a demonstration project, I go in and I will analyze two lines of the business. So say it's marketing and technology or something, and I will demonstrate how the org chart that they have in their institution is really a chart that demonstrates um, pay grades. It
Mhm.
has nothing to do with what the work of that role
With the
is.
function, right.
And so I look at what the work in the role is. And this is a bit more advanced, but the system that I work with has about 8 or 9 layers. And the manager needs to be in the next higher layer than the subordinate or the worker. It makes sense. It
It's
it
it's
makes total
absolutely
sense.
makes sense.
But I, I don't understand why it never took root because you have people that are stacked above one another.
Which is
And
what
you
I
have
experienced.
when
Yeah.
when a vacancy occurs, you have the manager saying to the person, "Well, find your replacement." Well, no, don't find your replacement because you want the manager to think through what they want in that role. It's
And
it's
it
very
doesn't make
curious.
sense. It doesn't make sense. A lot of time, referring back to the payroll, the compensation, sometimes, and I don't think this is a good idea either, it's tied not just to the job title and the function, obviously, but to the length of time that someone has been in service to that company. The
Yes,
incremental raises, which there's a lot of validity to that, to
yes,
some extent, of course.
yes. Well, and I think you can have that. But the role that they're doing is a different role, is a role that they've always been doing. They're getting paid for the longevity.
Exactly. Which loyalty comes with a
Yes,
price. And
yes,
when you have someone who is loyal to a company, they know the history of the company, they're a reliable asset. And
that's
sometimes
right.
there are people in companies in that level who are there longer than the CEO.
That's right. They hold the history, the
Yes.
culture, the history and the culture of the company.
They're very valuable. They're very
They're very
valuable.
valuable, so they should get paid properly. And I do red circles. So, I mean, there are certain key people that we will red circle, and you're not going to get rid of them until they're ready to retire or something like that. But it's the way the company will work reduces expenses, increases sales and revenue, and everybody can talk to one another.
Yeah.
So there's another system in this. I don't talk about it in the book, but I do, create it. That it's three-tier team building. So it's the manager once removed, the manager and the employee. And that cascades down.
Sure.
But it also cascades, not it doesn't
Yes.
cascade up, but it goes up. It travels up, but it travels down. And
Well,
so it
yeah.
allows for great communication to take place
Sure.
in
Sure.
the organization.
And when you said communication, so important in any application, is that who's
Yes,
talking to who and does everybody know the story? What I have discovered too is that when people have reached their level, referring back to the Peter Principle perhaps, or just lack of feeling that they can talk to a manager, it comes from fear that people don't want to speak up.
that's right.
And that definitely impedes the productivity,
Hmm.
the the integrity of the
Hmm.
company, the spirit of the
Of the
company,
company, yes,
and depending on how large an organization it is, can be very, very detrimental. If it's a small team and one key player, it's like if one brick is out of line in the
fine.
building, the whole building can
That,
fall down.
that's right.
So, who is the book? Let's go back specifically to the book, The Four Vectors. Who was this written for?
It was written for CEOs and leadership teams, chief financial officers, chief technology officers, chief human resource officers. I've learned, I've I always stand apart from the norm. And, like there are a lot of chief human resource officers who really don't want to hear anything about this way of
No,
thinking
no, no, no.
because they're protecting the status quo.
And boosting their own image, if you will, that look who that. And I've worked with people like that where they can turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. They
Yes.
have favorites who they
Yes.
hired. And also, what I used to say in a managerial position, in a consulting position, is that do you realize what the cost of hiring the wrong people and continually replacing them?
Hurting
Do
them.
you know what the cost of that is?
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle. It's an interesting thing because it's this system, which is known as requisite organization, I must say, um, is eliminates the politics
Mhm.
that exists in an organization. So, you go into an organization, you take a job, and you know what the job is, and but as you get comfortable in that role, you might need information from someone else. So this requisite organization actually articulates who you can go to get the answer.
Mm,
But most people don't even know about who they can go to. So most people say, "Oh, my friend, Jill or Frank I'll ask them to get them that information." Then they owe that person, right?
mm,
It's
mm,
like it's kind of a political thing. And it's so you have a whole organization that is run by politics
mm.
and not structural work because, you know, roles exist in a large organization without any person in the role. There's a role, and then there's a person in the role. So it's very it's challenging work, and
Yeah.
most people do not want to do the challenging work.
And what a lot of companies, in my years of experience, as long as the money keeps coming in, they
That's
think
right.
everything is hunky
That's
dory.
fine. That's
And they
right.
don't realize, to your previous point, that it can take a long time for bad decisions to have their trickle down effect on a company. And then it
Hmm.
takes as much time to go back in the other, usually high, longer time you
Yes.
can crash faster than you can build up.
That's right.
And it's just a lack of practicality. But let's face it, Rosemary, don't you think there are a lot of people who have titles that just, it's just a title. It's just a title.
Yes.
It doesn't represent what the title represents and what they can bring to the company. Like you said, it's politics, and you're not talking, conservative, liberal.
No,
You're
I'm not
talking
talking
you're
that. No,
talking
I'm
about the
talking about
politics within the
politics
company.
between the individuals.
Right.
And and somebody says, "Well, you owe me now." It's kind of it's just a little crazy.
It sounds like when you make a comment like that is that there's no spirit of teamwork and that we're all on the same team. And if the environment in the company is safer, happier, more productive, doesn't
Hmm.
everybody benefit from that?
Yes,
Of
everybody does
course.
benefit.
Of
Yeah,
course. Of course. But there's a lot of selfish people, a lot of insecure people.
dear people.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
we have a lot of greed in our
Oh,
society right
yes.
now.
Yes. Greed and jealousy.
Yes,
Greed and jealousy, two
jealousy.
terrible, terrible,
Uh,
terrible things.
Yeah. So we're talking about really transforming the world of work so that not only are you increase your productivity and you increase your profits, but everybody in the system enjoys working
Yes.
for the company.
Yeah.
We are at right now, I mean, there are so many people who want to be coaches. And there is a coach and there's a coach.
Yep. Yep.
And you don't know, they choose the same word. You don't know who you're getting
Exactly.
when
You don't,
you
yes.
sign up
Yeah.
for a coach.
You don't know where on the food chain you're
That's
you're
right.
tapping
You
into.
have
Yes.
no idea.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have no
Uh,
idea.
that's interesting. And even the best of the best in any industry, athletes, musicians, um, authors, you're an author
Right.
yourself, business persons have mentors and coaches
Coaches.
themselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they are respected.
Sure.
You know what I mean? An athlete would not work without a coach. So if we just take the Knicks, you have the head coach and you have a lot of assistant coaches who
Yes.
are working on, because when a coach looks at how you're operating, how you're doing your job, they're going to point out to you things that you don't see yourself.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Knicks. So at any basketball team, there used to be, years ago, there would be a head coach and maybe two assistant coaches. With technology now that's being used during the games, if you look at the row behind the team and the coaches, there's like 5 and 6 more coaches,
That's
each
right.
with a specialty. Some of them are
Specialty.
just looking at the videos to say, should a challenge be declared on a particular call?
Yes.
Others yes, yes. So, well, it's working well for the New York Knicks now, is it? We're
Well,
talking,
and the specialization has gone too far to either the right or the left. I don't, you know what, the specialized, because if you look at healthcare, if you go to a doctor
Mhm.
and you complain of a pain in your stomach, that's all they're going to look at.
Yes,
they're not going to look at anything else.
No.
And we have this good foot store.
Yes.
It's a store for orthopedic pe
Orthotics infuse. Yeah.
or that, yeah. And so I even say to Dan, my partner, maybe you should go because I think maybe that might be a good thing for you. He's got a bad knee. I said, maybe you should go. And he doesn't want to listen to me. So I just kind of ignore it. But it's the idea that an orthotic can help put the whole body into alignment is so new. It just makes me wonder. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
just makes me
Yeah.
wonder.
You know what I want to ask you? Have you detected or seen in your all your years in this kind of work, when can it be defined generationally? Like we talk about, the greatest generation, and then we talk about the baby boomers, and then we
Right.
talk about them. Did you start to see a change in the pattern with one of these new generations where focus just changed? Did technology change? Is AI going to change it?
Well, I think that AI will be a whole new playing field.
Hmm.
I think AI is going to transform how not only the United States, but all the countries,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's available
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And so they will, so it will be transformative. But I also think that children coming in now have a wisdom that we didn't have. Um, so I'm part of the baby boomer generation. So and I say to myself, well, these little kids. I have a great niece and a great nephew. I don't have any children. So I see them and they are so vibrant
And they're so
and
smart. They're so
and
smart
so
these days. So
smart.
smart.
So smart. So I have a lot of hope that that the generational that there will be generational communication.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if that will be the case, but I do
I don't,
hope.
yeah, I do hope. I don't know that I'll be around to find out the answer to that question. But like everything else, Rosemary, it's balance and it's
Yes.
assets equal liabilities. So you
Hmm.
look at technology, every good thing that it can do, there's an evil side to it. There's a
Hmm.
nefarious application for the technology. Um, what I always wonder, can kids add anymore? Can they subtract? Can they write a sentence? They don't know how to write in script anymore. I even see
No,
attorneys at that age level where they print, they don't
print.
write in
Yeah.
cursive. And just the little changes. And change is not bad, but change just for the sake of change has to be questioned. But with your talking about the four vectors, to get back to that, because I could talk to you forever, is that change needs to happen when it's needed to happen and when it creates a good outcome.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. We agree on
And
that.
it's interesting. I mean, this is just an aside. I was listening to something a few weeks ago, and I heard a statement that was attributed to Edgar Casey. And he said that people that were born between 1945 and 1965, there are many of us people who don't feel in sync with the world. And he said, our time is coming because we are here to usher in what I would say is the new humanity.
Well, that's a glorious thought and statement. Um, we came at a very transactional time or transitional time in the
Time.
world after World War II.
Too.
And with the introduction of a lot of the beginning of technologies and advances, you just think of what happened in the last 100 years. Someone
Absolutely.
coming back, less than 100 years ago even would not know what the devil's going on
That's
in
right.
this world. When you said our time is coming, I thought, well, yes, we're all going to die. Our time is coming. We're all going to make that, we're all going to take that journey. We're all going home. Please God. And that's funny. Who is the typical client that you work with?
I usually work with people who are CEOs of, say, anywhere from $5 million in revenue to, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue.
Particularly to a particular industry?
No, I work
No,
across every industry because I'm a curious person. So to narrow it down to be like in finance,
you get bored. You
it's
get bored.
bored.
Yeah,
I'm bored. So I work across, I've had clients at American Express. I've had Colgate-Palmolive Europe and, GE Plastics.
you're a name dropper.
Yeah. I mean, I've had those clients and the work has been very satisfying, not only to them, but to me.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Those are big, big companies. Where can people find your book, The Four Vectors?
So the book is on Amazon, under Rosemary Bova. And you can get in touch with me at rab@bovaenterprises.com, or you can call me at 917-653-7941.
Look at you. I think the baby boomers are the last generation to be giving out their personal phone numbers. I do. I do. So the four vectors available, I guess, most conveniently on Amazon, and you can be in touch with Rosemary Bova. I'm not going to repeat your phone number. If you wish
Okay,
to, that would be up to you. And Bova, Bova Enterprises.com.
right.
Rosemary, you are, I would say, with all where it's coming from, with such sincere credit to you, I'm going to say you sound like you're ahead of the times for a woman doing what you're doing. And I say that as a businesswoman to a businesswoman in what you're doing. One last question. Did you have trouble or difficulty breaking the gender barrier when you started doing this work?
That's a whole other story.
It's a whole other story. That's
That,
a whole other BEP talk.
that's a whole other BEP talk. Yes, I did
You
have
did.
trouble. I bounced around a lot, and but I will tell you, I am a truth teller.
It'll never get you in trouble.
And I have spoken truth to power, and I've been knocked out of the assignment or whatever, because why would I consult to someone that I'm going to lie to?
Or
And
that you would have to lie to, or you're knowing right away you could never find alignment. Uh,
right.
yeah,
No.
beating a dead horse. Well, good for
So I
you.
am so I am very selective, but if somebody really wants to work with me, that's when I generally have a really satisfying
Oh,
experience.
I can't imagine that you couldn't.
Yeah.
So I want to tell everybody, all the viewers and listeners today, again, The Four Vectors by Rosemary Bova is available at Amazon.com, and her company is Bova, B-O-V-A Enterprises.com. Obviously, you know where to find that. And there you can find out more detail about how to be in touch with Rosemary. Rosemary, I want to say to you how much I have enjoyed this conversation. I enjoy every BEP Talks conversation because they're kind of unpredictable, they're unscripted, they're spontaneous. We never know where we're going to go with
Go,
them,
go,
but we always go where we're destined to
to
go, is
go.
what I believe. And
Hmm.
I thank you so much for what you've shared with us today and for the great work that you've been doing for a long time. And As I say to all of our viewers and listeners, you have a story too, and it is worth sharing because it is worth hearing, and people do want to hear and learn from you as well. So go to BEP, B-E-P, BEPtalks.com and find out how you can bring your story to center stage and become easy to remember, impossible to forget. And as we always say here at BEP Talks, may the best always be yet to come. And until we talk again, bye for now.